This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. And for today's show, we're going to be going over the NBA games from last night, which was Wednesday night. We'll make my picks for the games going on tonight, which is Thursday night. We'll make those picks in the last segment. We're also going to be talking about each team in the playoffs right now. I've been doing like a little bit of something about talking about each team the last couple of days. This time we're going to be talking about what their Super Bowl chances are, meaning like in order to get there and if they could win it. We'll be talking about each team in the second segment. Third up, we'll be talking about a couple of other notes going on in football right now. We'll talk about Nick Saban and there's been talk about like little whispers and rumors about maybe Nick Saban possibly leaving Alabama and heading to the Giants. Like, this isn't like a true thing or a real thing that's actually happening, but people have been talking about it, so I'm going to give my 2 cents about it. Guess we're going to talk about some other things going on in football in the third segment, and then for the fourth segment, as I said, that's where I'll be making my NBA picks for Thursday night and talk about pretty much anything else going on in sports. So let's get into it right now. Let me pull up these scores from last night. All right, so we had the Dallas Mavericks heading into Charlotte. Dallas beat them 115-111. Dirk had 19 points, 2 rebounds. He shot 8 of 16. Harrison Barnes had 25 points, 11 rebounds. He shot 9 of 13. Yogi Ferrell started in this one. He had 22 points. And Dennis Smith Jr. had 15 points, 6 assists for the Mavericks. He only shot 4 of 13 in that game, though, and 0 of 5 from the three-point line, so not a good shooting game from him. As for the Charlotte Hornets, you had Kemba Walker with 41 points, 4 assists. He shot 16 of 28. Dwight Howard had 15 points, 12 rebounds, shot 5 of 5. And no one else on the Hornets starting 5 really did anything else. I mean, it was pretty just a bad game from them. And the Hornets right now, they're 15-24. They do need to trade Kemba Walker. I talked a little bit about it yesterday. They do need to trade him. All right, they're not getting any better with him out there, and he's not getting any better with him playing on that bad team. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with Dwight Howard either. I mean, I think he's got a nice little contract with them, but I'm not sure if he's just going to end up playing he's going to play out his contract there, or if they're going to be trading him also, because this is a team that needs to start rebuilding. Kemba Walker, Dwight Howard, they're not getting it done. Well, they're playing well, but I mean, the rest of the team isn't playing well at all, so that's why you see them losing all the time. So, I mean, they need to really get rid of those two and start this rebuild, but we'll see what they choose to do. All right, so we had the Miami Heat. They headed into Indiana, and Miami won that one 114-106. You had Hassan Whiteside with 16 points, 15 rebounds. Kelly Olynyk had 11 points. Goran Dragic had 20 points, 9 assists. He shot 8 of 16. Off the bench, you had Bam Adebayo with 15 points, 2 rebounds, shot 4 of 9 in 31 minutes. Tyler Johnson had 15 points off the bench, and Wayne Ellington had 15 points off the bench. It was kind of weird to see that every person that came off the bench for the Heat had 15 points. They only played 3 players off their bench. Let's see, for the Pacers, you had Victor Oladipo with 26 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot 9 of 20. Darren Collison only scored 7 points. Domantas Sabonis got the start in this one. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds. Bohan, is it Bowen or Bohan? I'm not sure. Bogdanovich had 15 points, 6 rebounds. He shot 6 of 11. Thaddeus Young had 12 points, 9 rebounds, and he shot 6 of 8. Once again, Miami won that one 114-106, and Miami's looking really good right now. They might be the 4th best team in the East right now. Obviously, it goes the Celtics, then the Raptors, then the Cavs, and I mean, Washington, now that they've had John Wall back for a couple of weeks, they've started to play a little bit better, but I think the Heat are just a better team right now and the better coach team. Speaking of Washington, they faced off with Utah in Washington, and Utah won that one 107-104. Let's see. FK Udo, that's a throwback name right there. He had 16 points, 9 rebounds, shot 7 of 10, got the start in that game. Ricky Rubio had 21 points, shot 9 of 17, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. Donovan Mitchell, not a great shooting night from him, only had 16 points, did have 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot 7 of 20 and 2 of 10 from the three-point line. As for those Wizards, you had Otto Porter with 14 points, 6 rebounds, shot 5 of 9. John Wall brought in 35 points, 11 assists, shot 14 of 27. And Bradley Beal had 23 points, 7 assists, and he shot 9 of 19. And these Wizards, even with John Wall back, like I said, they've been getting better, but they just don't look like how do you say, the team that they've looked the last few seasons. Like, they're not a team that you think, oh, you know what, they could challenge the Celtics, they could challenge the Cavs. I mean, last year, obviously, everyone was thinking it would be Celtics Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals, but Washington was that team where you're like, you know what, they do have a chance to. So this year, they're not looking that good. They're looking like a middle-of-the-pack East team, and I don't even think they'd be able to get past Miami right now if they were to play each other in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, but we'll see how it all progresses throughout the season. As for those Detroit Pistons, they headed into Brooklyn. Detroit won that one, 114-80. Tobias Harris had 22 points, 4 rebounds. He shot 10 of 14. Andre Drummond had 22 points, 20 rebounds, shot 9 of 15. Avery Bradley, 13 points, 5 assists. He shot 6. As for the Chicago Bulls, they stayed hot once again. They beat the Knicks 122-119. Lauri Markkanen had 33 points. As for the Chicago Bulls, they stayed hot once again. They beat the Knicks 122-119. Lauri Markkanen had 33 points, 10 for the Chicago Bulls. They stayed hot once again. They beat the Knicks 122-119. Lauri Markkanen had 33 points, 10 rebounds, shot 10 of 22. Denzel Valentine, 20 points, 9 rebounds. Robin Lopez, 20 points, 7 rebounds. Chris Dunn, only 9 points in that one, shot 4 of 18. Did have 8 assists though. Justin Holiday had 16 points, 9 rebounds, shot 5 of 10. As for the Knicks, Michael Beasley scored 26 points off the bench. He had 12 rebounds also, shot 10 of 22 in the game. Kristaps Porzingis, 24 points, 6 rebounds, shot 11 of 24 in the game. Enes Kanter had 15 points, 7 rebounds. Jarrett Jack, 16 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, triple-double for Jarrett Jack. And Courtney Lee also had 16 points. The Knicks are kind of a weird team this season. Like, they were looking like they were going to be a team who might finish in the 6-7 seed range, but right now it's not even looking like they're going to make the playoffs, or at least be competing for the playoffs. Obviously, maybe expectations for them once they were playing well in the beginning of the season were kind of high. Obviously, like they were, how do you say, what's the word for it? They were unattainable, I guess you could say. Yeah, as far as Knicks making the playoffs, they're still a young team who needs to rebuild, so I think I need to pump the brakes on the Knicks. And as for the Chicago Bulls, this whole tanking thing isn't working out. They're gonna end up winning around 20, 24, 25 games this season, and if they do that, I mean, that pick isn't gonna be as high as they need to. So I don't know, they better figure it out. As far as the tank goes, they might get rid of Nikolai Mirotic and figure it out that way, but we'll see how it all ends up. As for the Portland Trailblazers, they headed into Houston. Houston won that one, 121-112. For Portland, you had Damian Lillard with 29 points, 8 assists. He shot 9 of 16. Evan Turner had 18 points, shot 7 of 11 in that game. CJ McCollum had 24 points, had 6 rebounds, 4 assists also, shot 9 of 16. And as for the Rockets, Chris Paul had 37 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds. He shot 13 of 29. Eric Gordon had 30 points, 5 rebounds. Let's see, Clint Capella had 13 points, 9 rebounds. Trevor Ariza didn't score a point in that game, but like I said, Rockets won that one easily, 121-112. As for the New Orleans Pelicans, they headed into Memphis. Memphis won that game, 105-102. No Anthony Davis in this one. He injured his right ankle the other day, and man, it's just something about Anthony Davis. The guy can't stay healthy at all. I don't know what it is, but there's always talks about him getting traded to a better team like the Cavs. The Celtics name has been brought up. Let's see who else. There was a little report on ESPN too that the Warriors had some type of long-term plan to bring in Anthony Davis or whatever. I don't really see how that happens. If that does happen, that would just be unfair. I mean, imagine Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Well, I mean, they'd have to get rid of a guy like, if they were to trade for Anthony Davis, they'd have to get rid of a guy like Draymond Green, probably at least, and Klay Thompson maybe. So I don't know. They wouldn't have the same team, but obviously, I mean, a team with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Anthony Davis would be disgusting. But let's get into the stats. Dante Cunningham had 9 points, 5 rebounds, filling in for Anthony Davis. DeMarcus Cousins had 29 points, 8 rebounds. He shot 6 of 15. Drew Holiday had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He shot 5 of 12. Rajon Rondo had 14 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 5 of 8. And Etuan Moore had 16 points. As for the Grizzlies, JaMychal Green had 20 points, 14 rebounds. He shot 7 of 12. Marc Gasol had 21 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. He shot 8 of 14. Tyreke Evans came out with 28 points, 6 rebounds, and shot 10 of 24. Watch out for Tyreke Evans, too, to be traded possibly at the trade deadline to a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. He wouldn't be like the factor in the Cavs beating the Warriors or anything like that if they were to meet in the finals. But he'd be a solid piece to come off the bench and pretty much compete against the Warriors' second team. So, I mean, you always got to build up your team because pretty much it's not like the Warriors just have Curry, Durant, and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. No, they have other people who contribute, so you need to build up that second unit too. So, watch for Tyreke Evans to get traded to a team like the Cavs. As for the Orlando Magic, they headed into Milwaukee. Milwaukee won that one, 110-103. Aaron Gordon had 11 points, 4 rebounds. Evan Fournier had 21 points, 4 rebounds, shot 8 of 14. Jonathan Simmons only 7 points in that one. And Bismack Biyombo had 14 points, 9 rebounds. Elfrid Payton, not a good game from him, only 6 points, shot 3 of 8 in that one. As for those Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo had 26 points, 7 rebounds. He shot 10 of 15. Chris Middleton had 22 points, 5 rebounds, had 4 assists also, shot 9 of 14. Eric Bledsoe, 15 points, 5 rebounds, had shot 7 of 14. And Malcolm Brogdon scored 14 points, had 9 rebounds and 7 assists. Next up, we had the Oklahoma City Thunder. They faced off with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Minnesota blew them out, 104-88. Carmelo Anthony, bad shooting night from him, 15 points, shot 5 of 19. Bad shooting night for Paul George also at 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 5 of 14. Russell Westbrook had 38 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 15 of 23. And Terrence Ferguson, another bad shooting night from him, only had 3 points, shot 1 of 7 from the field and 1 of 6 from the 3-point line. As for Minnesota, you had Andrew Wiggins with 19 points, shot 8 of 15. Karl-Anthony Towns had Wiggins had 19 points, I think that's what I said. Karl-Anthony Towns had 18 points, 12 rebounds. He shot 7 of 12. And Jimmy Butler had 26 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, and he shot 7 of 13. I picked Minnesota in the podcast yesterday because I thought they've been playing the better basketball out of the two. But like I said, Oklahoma City, they've still been playing well the last couple of weeks. But, I mean, they really just aren't consistent enough for them to show that they can play with the big teams in the West right now. I mean, them playing against Minnesota in the playoffs is probably going to end up happening, and I'm not even sure Oklahoma City would be able to come out of that series as the winner. So, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. But right now, I mean, it looked like Oklahoma City was figuring it out, but, I mean, this is just a really bad game from them right here. As for the Atlanta Hawks, they headed into Denver, and they beat Denver by 13. Atlanta won 110-97. Let's see. Dennis Schroeder had 19 points, 10 assists. He shot 6 of 15. Kent Bazemore had 14 points, 5 rebounds. He shot 5 of 7. For Denver, you had Gary Harris with 25 points. Another good shooting night from him. Shot 11 of 14. Also had 7 rebounds. Jamal Murray had 13 points. Shot 5 of 13. Not a good night from him. Nikolai Jokic had a brutal night. Only 9 points. Had 7 assists and 12 rebounds. But he shot 4 of 21 in that game. 0 of 8 from the 3-point line. Just a brutal shooting game from him, like I said. And then Wilson Chandler had 10 points, 4 rebounds. As for the final game of the night, the LA Clippers took on the Golden State Warriors, and the Clippers blew out Golden State by 19. Lou Williams started in this one, and boy did he have a game. He had 50 points, 7 assists. He shot 16 of 27, 8 of 16 from 3. DeAndre Jordan only had 10 points, 12 rebounds. No Blake Griffin in this one. As for the Warriors, we didn't have there was no Steph Curry, no Klay Thompson. Draymond Green had 7 points, 10 rebounds, had 4 assists also. He shot 1 of 9, not a good game from him. Kevin Durant had a big night, 40 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 14 of 18. And let's see, Nick Young filling in for Klay had 7 points, shot 3 of 11, and Sean Livingston only brought in 8 points, filling in for Steph. Once again, the Clippers beat the Warriors 125-106, and Lou Williams is going to have, well, obviously he's got to keep coming off the bench, but it's looking like they're going to probably keep him as a starter because this guy's he's averaging around 23, 24 points a game right now, I think, and if he was coming off the bench and doing that, it's obvious 6th Man of the Year candidate right there, but we'll see what Doc Rivers wants to do. That's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about the teams in the playoffs right now, talk about their Super Bowl chances, and after that, in the third segment, we'll be talking about Le'Veon Bell a little bit, talk about that whole Nick Saban type of rumor. I don't even know what to call it because it's not real at all. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's just ESPN making stuff up. But we'll talk about that, and then for the fourth segment, like I said, we'll be making my NBA picks and talking about anything else going on in sports. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. That last segment, we talked about the NBA games from Wednesday, and like I said, for the fourth segment is when I'm going to make my picks. I think we only got 5 games going on tonight. One of them's going on right now. The Celtics are playing the 76ers in London, and obviously the game's going to be over by the time this podcast drops, but as of right now, the Celtics are winning that one 74-68. Jason Tatum currently has 11 points in the third quarter, and Celtics were down early, but like I said, they just got the lead back. So, like I said, this podcast will be over by the time, the game will be over by the time this podcast drops. But just giving a little live information. All right. So for this segment, we're going to be talking NFL playoff teams. All right. Tomorrow's big day. We make our picks for the show. I make my picks for the show, since I do this podcast alone, obviously. But we're going to talk more about like each game tomorrow in depth. All right, and right now we're going to be talking about each playoff team, but there's chances of, should we do winning a Super Bowl or making it to the Super Bowl? We'll do both. We'll talk about their chances of making it to the Super Bowl, and we'll talk about their chances of winning a Super Bowl. All right, so let's start off with the AFC. Let's start off from the bottom with the Tennessee Titans. Let's get them out the way. Their chances of making a Super Bowl, probably slim to none. Their chances of winning a Super Bowl, slim to none. Tennessee, they're not a bad team or anything like that, but they just haven't played good football. I understand that they beat the Chiefs last week 22-21, but I mean, for the most of that game, Tennessee really just didn't play well at all. All right, it took Marcus Mariota throwing a touchdown to himself to help get them back in the game. That's just not winning football right there. I mean, their chances of beating the Patriots this week are, I mean, just as low as their chances of even making it to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Tennessee really just doesn't have a chance at all to make it to the Super Bowl, I don't think, even let alone win one, I guess. But, I mean, if they were to somehow pull off a surprising win, like a shocking win, that's exactly what it'd be, too. If they were to beat the Patriots, it would just be extremely shocking. If they were able to do that, then, I mean, obviously their chances of making it to the Super Bowl and winning one would change drastically. But right now, I just don't see it happening for them. All right, they're bringing back Mike Mularkey, too, after that win against the Chiefs on, what was it, last Saturday? Yeah, last Saturday. And that's one thing that just is bad about the NFL. Like, that's fine that they're bringing him back, but, I mean, that's a knee-jerk reaction right there. I mean, the Chiefs or the Titans, if they would have lost that game, then they would have fired Mularkey. And like I said, I mean, the Titans were just playing bad football for that game for pretty much the majority of it. So, I don't know. It's just, like I said, just a knee-jerk reaction. But, yeah, as far as the Titans making it to the Super Bowl and winning it, like I said, their chances are slim to none. Unless, like I said, somehow they'll beat the Patriots, but I just don't see that happening. And now the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their chances of making it to the Super Bowl, I think, all depends on, obviously, if they get past Pittsburgh, then I think they have really high chances of making it to the Super Bowl and possibly winning it. All right. I think Pittsburgh is the toughest team in the AFC right now. It'd have to go Pittsburgh, then the Jags, then the Patriots, and then the Titans. All right. The Patriots really don't scare me right now. Tom Brady hasn't been playing that good of football the last few weeks. And if you don't believe me, just go check his numbers. All right, right now it goes Pittsburgh as the number 1 team in the AFC, then it goes Jacksonville. And I think that whichever one of these teams wins their game on Sunday, I think it is that they're playing, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Whatever team wins their game, I think is going to have the best chance of making it to the Super Bowl. All right, talking about Jacksonville specifically, though, they got the best defense in all the league. They have one of the best running backs in all the league. And they have one of the worst quarterbacks in all the league. That's where it all comes down to right there. Blake Bortles, for these playoffs, he just needs to be average. All right. For most of the season, he was playing well, wasn't turning the ball over or anything like that, was throwing for touchdowns. And then the last few weeks, he just turned into the old Blake Bortles, I'm a bust Blake Bortles. And I saw, too, that he was saying that LeBron James gets criticism. People say he sucks and all that. And I guess I get... Actually, I don't get that at all. I don't get why he was not even comparing himself to LeBron James, but just putting it in the same sense. I don't get that at all. Blake Bortles, you're actually not that good. It is what it is, but obviously you can check his stats too to back that up. But like I said, in order for the Jacksonville Jaguars to make it to a Super Bowl, they need Blake Bortles to play average and don't take them out of the game. All right, if they do that, then they have all the chance in the world of winning one. Because like I said, they got a world-class defense. All right, they got a good running game. And the receiving core is pretty good when Blake Bortles isn't playing badly. So, they have a really nice chance of making it to Super Bowl and winning it. Now, let's talk about those Pittsburgh Steelers. They have probably the best chance of making it to the Super Bowl. It goes them and then Jacksonville after that. All right, right now, Pittsburgh has the most, should I say complete team, the most talented team in the AFC. You're getting Antonio Brown back this week. He's not going to be at 100%. I don't think he's really going to be much of a factor. But the best part about that is that you got Martavis Bryant back there also, and then you got Juju Smith-Schuster, who I don't know if you could say he's breaking out, obviously because he's a rookie, and I guess you can say that since he is a rookie. We haven't really seen much from him, but he's starting to play well. Last week, or he didn't know, his Week 17 game, I think he had around 130 receiving yards around there. So, he's been playing well. And he's going to end up being a solid number 2 option next year with Antonio Brown. Martavis Bryant, I'm sure he's going to end up out of Pittsburgh after this year since he's pretty much the odd man out. But, talking specifically right now, and as for this team getting back to the Super Bowl, like I said, they have the best chance in all of the AFC to get back to the Super Bowl. And if they were to make it to the Super Bowl, they'd be my pick. Like I said, they got a high-powered offense. Le'Veon Bell's been playing well. Not sure how well he's going to play against this Jacksonville front 7 on Sunday, but, he is the best running back in the league, so he's probably going to make something out of nothing. The only thing that scares me about the Steelers is that their secondary just hasn't played well. I like their front 7, but like I said, it just all comes down to their secondary. Their game between them and Jacksonville is, like I said, it's going to come down to Blake Bortles versus the Steelers corners. The Steelers corners can keep the receivers from making separation and pretty much force Blake Bortles to make actual good throws and tough throws, then Steelers got all the chance in the world to win that game. But we'll wait and see how it all ends up. And now the Patriots, the final team in the AFC. Their chances of making it to the Super Bowl, if they get past Tennessee, obviously they got all the chances in the world, because I think they are going to beat Tennessee. So they're going to end up seeing the Jacksonville Jaguars or Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game. But I'm not sure New England beats either of those teams. All right. They already beat Pittsburgh once early on in the season off of that controversial Jesse James no touchdown catch. I think it was a catch, and I think it was a touchdown. But obviously no one knows what a catch is. And if these teams were to see each other again in the AFC Championship game, I think Pittsburgh wins this one. And I'm not trying to knock the Patriots or anything like that, but like I said, Tom Brady just hasn't been playing well the last few weeks. It looks like his play is starting to dip. And I'm not sure how much you can rely on Deion Lewis to get the job done for you at the running back position. Obviously, they have Rob Gronkowski where no one can stop him, but that defense is the biggest problem with them. They have no defensive line, all right, and they give up plenty of yards. I think they gave up the most yards in the league this year, or at least were right near the top as far as giving up yards on defense. And they have this whole little formula on defense to where, you know what, we're going to give a bunch of yards, but you're not going to score. And you can't really sustain that kind of defense against a team like Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh is going to take advantage of that. And as far as Jacksonville goes against Pittsburgh, or not against Pittsburgh, it goes against New England, Tom Brady's always had trouble playing well when he has a pass rush in his face. And I'll tell you this much, if Jacksonville faces off with New England in the AFC Championship game, Jacksonville will be in that backfield, and they will be in Tom Brady's face, and I'm not sure how well he could play with pressure on him, meaning obviously the defensive line. But we'll see how it all ends up. But like I said, right now, the Steelers have the best chance of getting to the Super Bowl and winning it in the AFC. Then I'd put Jacksonville at number 2, New England at number 3, and then Tennessee with like no chance pretty much at number 4. All right, let's talk NFC. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start with the Atlanta Falcons. When I say bottom, I'm talking about seeding too. I'm not talking about like their chances or anything like that. Atlanta right now probably has the best chance of getting to the Super Bowl, I feel. They're playing well. They're getting hot at the right time. Julio Jones always shows up in the playoffs. Didn't really show up consistently this season in the regular season, but like I said, playoffs is what matters right now. Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman looks like they're going to start getting the ball a whole lot more as they should. Matt Ryan, he played all right last game, but I mean, he's good enough to where he's not going to hurt the Falcons' offense, and that defense is playing amazing right now also. They shut down Todd Gurley last week as far as him trying to catch the ball, and they're very quick. We're here at the spot once you catch it type of defense. You're not going to catch the ball and get yards after the catch or anything like that. They're going to be there, and they're going to be there to stop you right there and then. So right now, Atlanta probably is one of the best teams in the NFC right now. I know there's only 4, but that brings me actually to my next team. Let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings. I really like their chances of beating New Orleans on Sunday. I'm not going to make my pick right now, but let's just say that if I had to, I'd pick Minnesota. I think they're going to do well to limit Kamara and Ingram, and I think that they have the secondary that's good enough to limit Michael Thomas. Ted Ginn Jr. is not going to do much in that game, and neither will Brandon Coleman. And I think this game is really just going to come down to, for Minnesota, it's going to come down to their defense versus Kamara and Ingram. I know I said that about Carolina last week, and they did stop Ingram Kamara, but their secondary was just poorly played, so they weren't able to, limit Drew Brees. And as far as Minnesota getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl, their chances, I mean, they're pretty good right now. All you need is Case Keenum just to play well enough to where he doesn't hurt the team. That's it. You don't need him to go throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns or anything like that. All right? You don't need him to put the team on his back because he has no defense, because that's not true. He does have a defense, and like I said, like I've been saying, Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon, they've been solid options as far as running the ball. And then you got Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, too, who are solid options as far as catching the ball. So right now, the Vikings, they do have one of the better chances of making it to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl, especially with the Super Bowl being at home. Like I said yesterday, they would be the first team to actually play on their home stadium. The Rams, when they used to be in LA before they were in St. Louis, they played at the Rose Bowl, but their home stadium was the LA Coliseum, and then the 49ers played at Stanford during the Super Bowl, but their home stadium was Candlestick, so the Vikings would be the first team to play at their home stadium. So I think they have a really good chance of making it to the Super Bowl, and they probably have the second best chance behind Atlanta. As for the New Orleans Saints, you always got a chance when Drew Brees is your quarterback. He knows what it takes to get there. He knows what it takes to win one. So, I mean, they're right there with Minnesota. I mean, winner of that is going to have to probably go through Atlanta to get to the Super Bowl. And I think it's tougher to pick in the NFC who's going to make it to the Super Bowl rather than who's going to make it to the AFC. I mean, the AFC, I think it really just comes down to 2 teams for me. It comes down to the Steelers and Jags, and obviously one of them is going to knock each other out this weekend. But whoever wins that game, I think, is going to be my Super Bowl pick out of the AFC. And as far as the NFC goes, like I said, I mean, you got Atlanta, you got New Orleans, and you got Minnesota. Philly, I got to see how they play this Saturday. But going back to New Orleans, like I said, when you got Drew Brees out there, you have all the chance in the world. And Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram need to play better than what they did last week. If they don't do that, then I really have no shot of getting to the Super Bowl. Because this isn't a team where Drew Brees can put the team on his back and do it on his own anymore. He's not that type of quarterback anymore. He needs Kamara to play well. He needs Ingram to play well. And they need that defense to play well week in and week out. I mean, obviously, you got Michael Thomas out there, and he's always going to contribute. But like I said, I mean, this isn't the Saints teams from the past few years. This is a new team, like a completely different team eventually. I mean, Drew Brees probably has next year with the Saints, and after that, he'll be gone. So, I mean, they really just need Kamara and Ingram to play well in order for them to make it to the Super Bowl and win one. But I think they have a solid chance of making it there. Obviously, you got to get through Minnesota, but we'll see how it all ends up. And as for Philly, I mean, they probably have the worst chance of making it to the Super Bowl and winning it out of the NFC just because, I mean, you don't have Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz is out there, then Philly is my Super Bowl pick, and probably I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl. And just with him blowing out his knee, it pretty much I don't want to say it ruined them, but made them probably the worst, not the worst, the least competitive playoff team in the NFC. Obviously, we got to see what Nick Foles can do against Atlanta's defense on Saturday, I think it is, that they're playing, but I just really don't see it happening for them. They really got to run the ball a bunch, too, and they need that defense to play well. I don't like their chances of making it past Atlanta, let alone get into the Super Bowl. So that's actually going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about Le'Veon Bell and his whole contract situation. He had made some comments today at practice about it. Then we're going to be talking about Nick Saban, and then we'll be talking about anything else going on in the world of football. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. And as you know, obviously, we're a sports podcast, so we talk about everything. So, right before I started this segment, I am going to talk about Le'Veon Bell. I'm going to talk about that whole Nick Saban coming back to the NFL type of rumor situation, whatever you want to call it. But before I get into that, quick little mention. All right, so I got a notification on my phone looking like Canelo, Alvarez, and Triple G are going to have their rematch May 5th. It's going to be accepted in the next few days. And there's been, people, when that fight happened, pretty much everyone thought that Triple G should have won that fight and that it had no business being a draw. All right. I was on the other side. I thought that a draw was the right call. Even before they announced the scorecard, I told my dad that it should be a draw, okay? Because I know Triple G was the more active fighter, but I mean, Canelo, when he was throwing his punches, he was landing them. He just wasn't doing it as often as Triple G was. And like I said, I mean, I understand why people thought Triple G should have won that fight because he was the more active fighter. He was going towards Canelo more than Canelo was going towards him. But in the end, it was a draw, and I think it should have been a draw. So I mean, this rematch is gonna be interesting. We're gonna see. I mean, both have something to prove in this fight. All right, Canelo needs to be just better than what he was his last fight against Triple G. Because I'm not gonna lie, Canelo didn't look at his best or anything like that. Like I said, I still think it should have been a draw. All right, and Triple G, he needs to go out and show that, you know what, they should have gave me the win the first time, and I'm gonna beat him again the second time. All right, so that's what Triple G's got to do. But it's just gonna be interesting to see. I'm happy that they did this rematch, and this is the fight of the year again. Obviously, last year, I guess you could say that Mayweather versus McGregor was the fight of the year as far as publicity and hype and all that. But if we're being serious, actual good boxing, because let's talk about that Mayweather and McGregor fight for a little bit. Did anyone ever really think that McGregor had any shot in that fight? Honestly, I mean, he was so hyped up, so much publicity, and people, I saw UFC McGregor fans thinking, you know what? Oh yeah, Conor's got a chance. He's gonna knock Floyd out. That fight went exactly how we all expected it to go. All right, Floyd really doesn't do much in the first few rounds. Conor's gonna use all his energy up, and then 5th round on, Mayweather's just gonna toy with him. That's exactly what happened. But like I said, Canelo versus Triple G should have been the fight of the year, the biggest hyped, most publicity type of fight last year. But it's gonna be that this year. So like I said, both fighters got something to prove. Canelo's got to go out and show that he could be better than what he was last time, and Triple G's got to go out and show that, you know what, the judges should have scored it for me to win, but this time he's not going to leave it up to them. So we'll see how it all ends up, but the fight's going to be May 5th, and like I said, the notification says that Triple G is expected to accept it in the next few days. All right, so we got that. I think that was the first time we talked boxing on this show too, but I can't wait for that fight now. All right, so let's talk Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell came out today at practice, and he was asked about his contract situation. He said pretty much that if the Steelers franchise tag me, then he's gonna think about just sitting out the year, whether it be just not playing this year or retiring. And he said if he were to retire, then you probably wouldn't see him back. And this would be like a Barry Sanders type of thing. Barry Sanders played like 10 years, I think it was, but I didn't get to watch him. But people say that he ended his career pretty early and he still had a bunch left in him. And I mean, imagine if Le'Veon Bell was to retire, because the Steelers did put the franchise tag on him and just never came back after that. It'd be like Megatron. Yeah, like Megatron. Thanks a lot, Detroit. You took away Barry Sanders from us, and you took away Calvin Johnson. But yeah, like I said, if Le'Veon Bell were to retire and just never come back, that would just be crazy, honestly. But if I'm the Steelers, it's time to pay the man, all right? I think he's playing under the franchise tag right now, and they have the opportunity to franchise him again next year. It's Le'Veon Bell. It's the best running back in the league. I understand that the Steelers really don't pay their players too much, those big money contracts. I think Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown were like the first where they actually got decent-sized contracts. And they need to pay Le'Veon Bell. He's the best running back in the league. All right, he had around 310 carries this season, I think it was, or maybe a little bit more. Had a bunch of yards from scrimmage. I think he had, 80-something catches this year too. I mean, you don't get that production from most running backs in the NFL right now. I mean, Todd Gurley's the only one who really does that as far as receiving the ball too. Kamara, McCaffrey did that, but I mean, Kamara and McCaffrey don't come close to Le'Veon Bell as far as rushing the ball. So Le'Veon Bell is the most complete back in the league. So if I'm the Steelers, I'm paying him. But if they're not going to give him a big money contract, then I think Le'Veon Bell should do it. I think he should sit out the year and not play under the franchise tag. I don't care if it's it's the rules, and you got to play under the franchise tag still. No, he's got to look out for himself. And I mean, imagine if Le'Veon Bell plays under the franchise tag. Yeah, he's going to make, around $14 million this year. But imagine he blows his knee out or has a bad ankle injury or something like that. No one's going to give him what he could have got if he wasn't injured, obviously. Because the running back coming off of an injury, because he's played 5 years so far. Next year will be his 6th. And after that, if he were to get hurt during his 6th year, no one's going to want a running back who's coming off injury on his 7th year, because he's getting older. And the shelf life on running backs, I'm not sure exactly how old he is right now, but once you hit 30, that's it. They really don't value it at all. So, if I'm Le'Veon Bell, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get this big money contract from the Steelers, and if they don't want to give it to me, then I'm going to sit out the year. Because like I said, there's no point in him risking injury for $14 million, because after that you get injured, boom, like I said, you're not getting that big contract. And as of right now, he is 25, so he's got about 5 more solid years. So he's got one more big contract left in him, and then after that, he's probably not going to get another big contract. So if I'm Le'Veon Bell, I'm sitting out. All right, don't even bother calling me. I don't want to play under the franchise tag. I deserve to be paid. That's what he said too. He's one of the biggest things too that caught my eye in the article, I read what he said in an article, but he did say it at practice, was that he's not going to settle for anything. He said he has it in his mind what he wants. If the Steelers want to give it to him, cool. If not, then I'll see you later. And that's perfect. I'm glad NFL players are starting to think like this. Don't give any hometown discounts or anything like that just because you've played for the franchise for so long. This is a business. It needs to be treated like a business. And these players need to get paid whatever they think that they're worth. All right? Because the league is changing. Before, it was all about loyalty and all that good stuff. But now, players are starting to get smart. They're finally starting to realize that the owners look at them as just business items. That's it. All right? Eventually, once the running back hits 30, there's no point in paying him anymore. So get rid of him for a younger guy. And that's how it's always going to be, and it's never going to change. So I'm glad that these players are starting to think, be more individualistic and starting to think for themselves. All right, fans aren't going to like it. Oh, well, you're still going to buy tickets. You're still going to show up. You're still going to watch games. That'll never change. And I like that, too. Fans like to say, oh, I'm not going to watch games, or I'm not going to buy merchandise, or we pay your salary. No, you don't pay salary. You pay like a tiny percentage of it with your merchandise and stuff like that. But, it's time for the players to get paid. That's all I got to say about that. And now let's talk Nick Saban. I know it's been, Nick Saban, would he leave Alabama for the Giants job? And this is all coming from Bruce Arians, too. This is Bruce Arians' fault, all right? Bruce Arians retired is just bad, because this is what we get. So Bruce Arians was on Colin Cowherd's radio show, podcast show, whatever you want to call it, and he came out and said he thinks that Nick Saban could leave Alabama for the New York Giants job. And everyone just saw this and took off and ran with it. Bruce Arians came out and said he was just messing around. He doesn't know for sure or anything like that. He knows nothing about it, you know? But no, people, once they saw that, like I said, they just saw Nick Saban, New York Giants, head coaching job. Ooh, let's talk about it now. So that's why I'm talking about it. And I'm going to tell you how it would make no sense whatsoever for Nick Saban to leave Alabama for any NFL team. Well, there's only one way it would make sense, all right? The only way I could see Nick Saban leaving Alabama for the NFL is if he gets a John Gruden contract. If you tell Nick Saban, hey, we'll give you 10 years, $100 million to come coach us, yeah, Nick Saban will leave Alabama for sure, I feel. But other than that, I mean, I don't see him getting a John Gruden contract ever from an NFL team. So I don't see him ever leaving Alabama for an NFL team. It literally makes no sense for him to leave. No sense to ever leave Alabama. Think about it. Why would Nick Saban leave Alabama to go coach the New York Giants? All right. Nick Saban in the NFL didn't work out the first time. It was ugly. And why would you go leave? I mean, coaching in the NFL, like he's got the easiest, like a dream job coaching Alabama. All right, because you know what? You're always going to get the top recruits. Why? Oh, we've won 5 national championships in the last 9 years. Come play for us. We always have the best teams. We always develop players that are ready for that make it into the NFL. Nick Saban is always going to be able to recruit players. He's always going to have a top team in college football. All right, go to the Giants or any NFL team. You don't have that same kind of luxury. You can't tell them, oh, I won 5 national championships. No one cares. This is the NFL. And it's a lot harder to sign players and pretty much have an eye for talent because not everyone's going to work out. College football is different. All right, the best high school player, I mean, it's not a given or anything like that, but chances are if you get the top high school players year in and year out, you're going to have a good team. All right, you recruit, you have a new team every few years. NFL, I mean, you have pretty much 3 years to do something. If not, you get no chance after that. College, you get a chance to develop and a chance to grow your team before they can cut. You get about like 4 or 5 years with the college team, and rather with the NFL team, like I said, you get 3 years max. If you don't do anything after 3 years, then you're done. So, I mean, he's already getting paid at Alabama. Not sure if he's up for a new contract anytime soon or anything like that, but if I'm Alabama, I'm giving his next contract extension, I'm giving him Lane Kiffin money like FAU did. All right? But it really just makes no sense for Nick Saban to leave Alabama for the NFL. Why would you leave a winning situation for a situation where it's probably going to be a losing one? All right? Coaching in the NFL is a whole lot harder than coaching in college. And if I'm getting paid more in college and I'm winning a bunch more than I think I would in the NFL, no chance I'm leaving. It just makes no sense. But I know Bruce Arians came out and said what he thought. And like I said, he came out and said after that he has no idea what Nick Saban's going to do or if this is even going through his head. But of course, you know, ESPN needs to see Nick Saban, NFL, and they got to run with it and write a bunch of stories on it that are never going to happen. So, yeah, Nick Saban leaving Alabama for the NFL, not going to happen. Don't even think about it. It wouldn't even, like, Nick Saban being the best college football coach does not mean Nick Saban would be a good NFL coach. And notice, I just said from him going from being the best wouldn't even mean that he could be good in the NFL. We don't even know. So, that whole Nick Saban to the NFL, to the New York Giants, that's all bogus. It doesn't make sense. It's the non-story. But here I am talking about it. Thanks a lot. But that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about the NBA games going on tonight and anything else going on in the world of sports, anything that runs through my mind. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I love doing this show. But for this segment, or let me recap what we talked about last time. We talked about a little bit about Canelo and Triple G, how their fight is going to be finalized within the next few days, and they're going to be fighting May 5th. I talked about how, and this is before they announced the scorecards and all that stuff, right? Right after the 12th round ended, I texted my dad and I told him, hey, this fight was, this is a draw. All right? He texted me, no way, Triple G won. The fight ended up being a draw. I know most people weren't happy about it. They did the whole, this is why boxing is being ruined, and Triple G should have won that fight, but I think it should have been a draw, and it was a draw. Like I said, Triple G was the more active fighter. He was throwing the most punches, but Canelo, when he threw, he was landing a bunch of them. He just wasn't doing it as often as Triple G was. I talked about how that should have been the fight of the year as far as publicity goes, but then we did have Mayweather versus McGregor, and man, that was quite some spectacle right there, Mayweather versus McGregor. But it's looking like Canelo versus Triple G is going to be the most hyped up fight, the most public, what's the, like, it's not most publicity fight, most public fight. Isn't most public? That just sounds weird. All right, let's get on the fight with the most publicity this year, unless McGregor and Mayweather do it twice, but I still think that this would be bigger than that, because we all know how Mayweather-McGregor ends the second time. Maybe Pacquiao versus McGregor would be, Pacquiao versus McGregor would be a bigger fight, but I mean, if that fight were to happen, I got McGregor beating Pacquiao. Pacquiao's old, he's slow, and he really just hasn't been the fighter that he used to be in, the last 4 years? Remember, he lost to, what's his name? I think his last name was Horn, Jeff Horn, I think it was, in Australia. Yeah, he lost to him. So, yeah, Pacquiao's past his prime. I'll never forget, too, when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez that 5th time, and Marquez knocked him out. One of the best moments as a boxing fan I've watched. And that was just like, ever since then is when Pacquiao went down, I feel. Ever since when he got knocked out by Marquez, ever since then, I mean, he just never got back to who he was. It was always, is Pacquiao going to retire? Is he going to keep fighting? Is he good enough to keep fighting? I mean, Pacquiao just, that one punch just pretty much ended his career right there as far as him being one of the best of all time. And two, like, between Pacquiao and Mayweather is the better one. I know we did see them fight each other once, thankfully, but probably should have had that fight years before it happened, but either way, even if they wouldn't have fought each other, it wouldn't have been, Mayweather was ducking Pacquiao, because he wasn't. But Mayweather is by far a better fighter than Pacquiao was. By far. I'll tell you that much. But, no, going back to it, very excited about Triple G versus Canelo. Like I said, both got something to prove. Canelo's got to look better than he did last time, because like I said, even though I did think it was a draw, Canelo really didn't look at his best. And Triple G's got to go out and show that, you know what, I was robbed the first time, but it's not gonna matter the second time, because he's gonna win this one. So we'll see how it all ends up. Like I said, though, can't wait for it. All right, so let's talk basketball for Thursday night. Let's talk about the game going on right now. Like I said, this game should be over. Well, it's already over. Like, they're still playing it, but it's pretty much over. There's only a minute left in it. Right now, the Celtics are beating the Sixers 114-101. This one's going on in London at the O2 Center. And let's see the stats right here before it ends. All right, so Kyrie Irving, he's got 20 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 7 of 20 shooting. Jaylen Brown, he has 21 points, 4 rebounds, shooting 8 of 15. Jason Tatum, 16 points, 4 rebounds, shooting 7 of 13. Did drop 11 points in the third quarter, I think it was, when I was checking it during the middle of the segments. Let's see. Al Horford, 13 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 of 10 shooting. Let's look at the bench. Anyone on the bench do anything here? Marcus Morris, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 7 of 13. That was a big pickup for the Celtics in the offseason, getting Marcus Morris. He adds like something just like that. He's like that enforcer type of player, you know? And he's good at getting rebounds, and Boston's needed that for so long. So, I mean, no one else really notable off the bench. Terry Rozier dropped in 8 points. Marcus Smart, 5 points, only shot 1 of 4 in this game. Let's see, I'm kind of waiting for the game to end so I got the final stats, but let me see. What are we at right now in the game? It should end soon, probably. I don't know. Let's look at the Sixers stats. So let's go. Dario Saric, he's got 14 points, 4 rebounds. He shot 4 of 11 in the game. Robert Covington, not a good game from him, only 5 points, shot 2 of 8. Joel Embiid was looks like he was limited in this one. He had 15 points, 10 rebounds, shot 6 of 17. Ben Simmons good scoring game, I guess. 16 points, shot 8 of 12, but game's over. All right, game is over. Game has ended. Here first. Boston Celtics beat the Philadelphia 76ers 114-103. All right, back to the stats. Ben Simmons had 16 points, but like I said, didn't do much rebounding or assisting. He had 2 rebounds, 3 assists. JJ Redick, 22 points, 7 rebounds. Off the bench, anyone do anything notable? TJ McConnell had 12 points, shot 6 of 11, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. But once again, the Boston Celtics beat the Philadelphia 76ers 114-103, and I believe the Celtics were down by 22 points at one point in this game. So that's how that one ended. Let's talk about the games going on tonight. All right, first up. Or actually, let's get this one out the way. We'll talk about the TNT games after. All right, so let's talk Clippers-Kings. This should be an easy pick. This one's in Sacramento. Maybe I should go to this game. Ooh, tickets are $17. Jesse Tapia might be at the Kings game later. Possibly. All right, so you got the Clippers facing off with the Kings in Sacramento. And I'm going with the Clippers in this one. Lou Williams just went off for 50 points against the Warriors yesterday. It is a back-to-back for the Clippers, but Kings just aren't playing good basketball right now. They're not really competing with the other teams. They're getting blown out week in and week out. I mean, ever since they had that 14-point win against the Cavaliers, and that game too, the game where the Kings beat the Cavaliers, it's not like the Cavaliers were sitting LeBron or anything like that. Everyone was playing, obviously not except for Isaiah Thomas, but I mean, they've been playing without him all year, and they're still a top team in the East, so it doesn't really matter. But I mean, they played well in that game. You had Vince Carter going. I think Vince Carter scored 20 points in that game, I think. It had to do with the 20. Either he played 20 minutes, and that was pretty impressive since he's 41 years old, or he had 20 points. But I'm almost positive it was 20 points from Vince Carter and not just 20 minutes. I don't know, man. I mean, anytime Vince Carter plays more than 20 minutes, I mean, we should have a parade, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the Kings just really haven't played good basketball since then, haven't been competing. So I got the Clippers in this one. I think Lou Williams is going to go off for a big game, and I really need to see if I can go to this game later. All right, so yeah, I got the Clippers in that one. Let's see, Cleveland Cavaliers facing off with the Toronto Raptors on TNT at 5 o'clock. TNT always puts out the best games on Thursday nights for basketball, I'll tell you that. It's not like the NFL. The NFL is so terrible at picking primetime games. All right, I understand that they do for most of the time, on Thursday nights, they do divisional games, okay? How about we just get rid of Thursday night football? How about that? I'm so tired of Thursday night football. Just let the NBA have Thursday nights, okay? And NFL, you already own Mondays and you own Sundays. All right? Just let the NBA have Thursdays because you're putting out bad product on Thursdays, week in and week out. Players don't even want to be there. All right? I don't want to watch. I watch because you know what? I love football. That's it. I could do without Thursday night football. But like I say, just going back to my point that I was making right now, the NFL just puts out bad primetime games week in and week out. Like the Monday night games this year were not that good. Sunday night games are always okay, but I mean we never have like those top games. Primetime is supposed to be games you remember. Those are supposed to be like the game of the week right there, and the NFL just struggles to put that out. NBA is doing it perfectly. Like tonight, we got the Cavaliers and Raptors. All right, battle of the second best and third best teams in the East. And then we do have the Spurs facing off with the Lakers later. But that does sound like a bad game on paper. But I'll tell you this, okay? Lonzo Ball, love him, hate him. Love LeVar Ball, hate LeVar Ball. It doesn't matter. These guys get us all to watch. I watch the Lakers whenever they're on TV and just see how Lonzo Ball does. Okay, because I don't want Lonzo Ball to do bad or anything like that. All right? This is someone who needs to be professional. I think Lonzo Ball could be a good player. Like I said, I think I said it on a couple days ago. I said his ceiling is Rajon Rondo. That's not bad. Rondo would have been one of the... Ooh, I got to watch what I'm saying. So I got to be careful. Rondo, at the time, when he was playing with the Celtics, at the time, was looking like... Well, he was one of the best point guards in the league. But if he had a jump shot and he could score regularly, Rondo would have been one of the best players in the league because of what he was doing. All right? Lonzo Ball, you already see that he's got the tools. I don't know about shooting, like tools for shooting, but like he's got the tools to be a guy who makes the players around him better. He's got the tools to be a Rajon Rondo, and that's not bad. I mean, given he was the number 2 pick, I mean, Rondo made a pretty good career for himself, I would think. But yeah, going back to the whole point about it, like I know it says Spurs versus Lakers, and you're thinking, oh, it's a good team versus a bad team, but Lakers play well on primetime. Which game was what I was watching that I remember? It was the Philadelphia 76ers, and they were playing the Lakers. That was one of the best games of the year so far. That one was on TNT. I think it was, or was it ESPN? I'm pretty sure it was TNT. Yeah, because we were watching Thursday Night Football. It was the Falcons and Saints game that night, too. All right, but no, this is going to be a fun game. Like I said, NFL just really needs to step it up as far as primetime games go. Like, Lakers are on primetime because they got Lonzo Ball because there's so much publicity with them. NFL, you can do that too, but they just choose to put like random teams playing against each other, and I think they just need to do better. But let's make the picks for the games now. It went way off topic. All right. Cavs versus Toronto. This game's in Toronto, I believe. I'm correct. Yeah, it's in Toronto. I'm going with, no Kyle Lowry. That's a bummer. I got the Cavs, man. I was so excited for this game, and I remembered Kyle Lowry wasn't going to be playing. At least let me double check. Maybe, I know his back was hurt. He's day-to-day, so there's a chance he plays. I'm going to go with the Cavs still. Man, Jesse's sad now. But yeah, I got the Cavs in this one. LeBron's probably going to go off for a triple-double because that's what he does in prime time, and the Cavs are just going to be too much for the Raptors if they don't have Kyle Lowry. Let's talk Spurs and Lakers. I'm going to go with the Spurs. I'm not going to... Are the Spurs playing on a back-to-back? Please tell me they're not. A lot of teams played yesterday. I hope the Spurs did not play yesterday. Did the Spurs play yesterday? They did not. They have not played since Monday, so we should see Kawhi Leonard play today. I got the Spurs in this one. I haven't had a chance to, Kawhi's day-to-day, so he might not even play. Man. Either way, I got the Spurs. I think they're the better team than the Lakers, but the Lakers are going to put up a good fight, so we'll see how it all ends up for there. But I got the Cavs beating the Raptors. I got the, what's the third game? Oh, yeah, the Clippers beating the Kings, and the Spurs beating the Lakers. There was something else I wanted to talk about for this segment, too. Oh, yeah, Chicago Bears. They hired former Oregon head coach Mark Helfrich to be their offensive coordinator. And it's funny, I couldn't remember it, but I just looked to my right and I see my laptop and boom, it's right there. That's why I do this. That's why. All right, so yeah, they hired Mark Helfrich to be their offensive coordinator. The Bears are going to be fun to watch next year. That's all that tells me right there. All right, because you got a good offensive mind as your head coach in Kevin Nagy. I think his name's Kevin. Let's see. I got to find his name now. I think it's Kevin Nagy. All right. Either way, Mitch Trubisky is going to be in his second year, and I think these are both solid hires for the Bears. All right. Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, and as we've seen, he did well with Alex Smith. He made Alex Smith look good. All right. He made the Chiefs' offense look really good. All right. The Bears, they have the tools to have a good offense this season. All they need is a solid number one receiver, and probably they need to draft at least 3 receivers in this. They need at least 3 receivers in this draft, I feel. All right. Get Calvin Ridley out of Alabama with your first pick. And then I'm not sure who you get with your second wide receiver pick and third wide receiver pick. I don't care if it's in the second, third round, fourth round, fifth round. Just find 3 receivers in this draft. Calvin Ridley needs to be one of them. But no, I really do like what the Bears are doing. They're going to be running very fast-paced spread offense, it's looking like. So, I mean, they're going to be exciting to watch. Jordan Howard should benefit from it, maybe. We'll see. They also hired the offensive line coach from Notre Dame, and I saw around the league reporting and stuff like that. I'm not a guy who's in the inner NFL circles. I'm not trying to sound like that or anything, but it looked like them hiring the offensive line coach from Notre Dame and bringing him in to be the offensive line coach for the Bears now. I mean, that's a good hire, it seemed like, and it looks like the Bears' offensive line is going to be developing even better, so we'll see how it all ends up. But that's what I had to say. I think I had something else I had to say, but I can't remember it, so I might just have to save it for tomorrow's podcast. But that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Obviously, that's going to wrap it up for the show, actually. First segment, we talked about the NBA games from, what was yesterday? Wednesday? Yeah, from Wednesday. We talked about the teams in the playoffs right now, what their chances are of making it to Super Bowl and possibly winning one. We talked about Le'Veon Bell. We talked about Canelo versus Triple G. We talked about Nick Saban to the NFL, how that makes no sense. And for this segment, we talked a little bit more about Triple G and Canelo, mentioned McGregor, Mayweather, made my picks. And, I wanted to talk about Kevin Durant. We're going to save that for tomorrow. Yeah, we'll talk about Kevin Durant tomorrow. All right. So, yeah, we talked about that. And then, like I said, we just mentioned the Bears hiring their new offensive coordinator. So, like I said, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Tomorrow I'm very excited for tomorrow's show. We're going to be making our picks for the playoff games. Going to talk even more about each game. All right. Going to talk NBA, obviously. We're going to talk Kevin Durant and pretty much anything else that's going on in the world of sports. So, stay tuned for tomorrow. Like I said, thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.